Hey guys, today we're going to talk about pretty much how do I care for these guys? How do I care for my cards? You know, how to make them last? How do I get my bang for my buck with these guys here? You know, because of these cards, they're actually made of cardboard, all right? They've got an air cushion finish on top, but essentially they're made of cardboard. So what you're going to find is these cards are actually very easy to rip and they can tear very easily as well. So every time you finish playing with them, make sure you put them back in its case, all right? Because if you leave these guys outside, because it's paper, if there's kind of humidity around, you'll find that these cards will start to warp like this, all right? And then once they warp like that, when you go to do your double lifts and you go to do your slides, it's gonna feel very weird, all right? So make sure that every time you finish with it, you put it back in the pack. Now, another thing about cardboard cards is that they actually absorb oil and moisture and water and stuff very, very easily. So what I found that I did that made my cards last longer was every time before I handled these guys, I ensured that my hands were clean, all right? Now there's two reasons for that. One is so that I don't have oils and stuff in my hands and dirt kind of absorbing to the card, which generally makes them kind of yellow and brown around the edges. And I've seen some magicians perform with like brown cards and it's just gross, okay? Don't do that. Now, for the two reasons I'm saying. One is so that the cards last longer. Two is because of hygiene reasons. If you went to the toilet and you came and you handled your cards and you didn't wash your hands, every time you go and handle these cards now, you're probably gonna have poo particles stuck to your fingers, all right? I'm being extreme there, but what I'm trying to say is, for your own hygienic reasons, make sure your hands are always clean before you handle these cards, all right? So, and it's actually gonna help you as keep these cards for longer as well, so it's a win-win situation. First of all, before we move on, let's just point out that this Breaking Dawn's book here, it belongs to my girlfriend, not me, okay? So don't judge me, don't judge me. Guys, all right. So when I used to perform magic quite a lot, I would easily go through 15 packet of cards a week. I mean, 2 a day, easily. The main reason why I go through so many is not because people sign the cards and I give them away. That was a minor reason. The major reason why I went through so many cards was because they become warped as I bring them outdoors and they touch tables that are wet and then they become slightly warped here and there and I actually end up throwing the whole pack out. So after I went through so many cards, because these aren't exactly cheap, so I tried to find different ways to make them last longer. And one of the ways is, I mean, it's not only about putting it back in its case, it's about once they're warped, how do I save them? So that's what I want to talk to you guys about here. Say this pack was a completely warped pack, right? What I'll do is I'll just leave the pack on its own. I wouldn't even put it back in its case. I'll leave it like that. I'll take a nice thick book, place it on top of the packet of cards, and I'll place a decent amount of weight on top of it. It doesn't have to be a weight, it can be another big book, it can be like a pot of whatever you want to put on there or a rock or something. But what it does is that weight there, when you leave it on overnight, what you're going to find is you actually straighten the cards out. And in the morning when you take it off, you're going to find that the cards are straight as they possibly can be. Okay, the next thing I want to talk about, this will probably save you the most money you've ever saved when we're talking about using up lots of playing cards, is a metal case, all right? Now, it doesn't matter which one you want to get, it doesn't matter. Don't worry about the branding, don't worry about the flashiness. It's just about a metal guard that's going to protect your cards, all right? So, I mean, one of these guys, it's not that expensive. And all I do is you just clip that with your cards like so. So now when you put these in your pocket, the corners aren't going to get bent, and the cards are going to be able to stay nice and straight. And you'll find that you will never even have to use that book and the weight method, all right? Because every time the packet of cards is in here, it's protected from being bent at all. The moisture is not going to have an effect on it at all. So you'll find that, you may spend 10, 20 bucks on one of these cases, but it's going to make your cards last 10 to 20 times longer. Right, now let's move on to different cards. Different cards require a different amount of care, all right? So let's take, for example, here we've got like a black card here, and over here we've got like one of these normal bicycle standards, all right? You see, if the edges on this card here fades, if white fades, you're not going to be able to tell because, it might fade to like a nice little gross brown color or something, but it's not as noticeable as when these fade here. Imagine when these corners start to fade and it fades white, it's going to look very old and it's going to look very, cheap and flimsy. So with these particular cards, you don't want to be using them all the time. The moment you finish with them, immediately go back into the cards. Because if you use these every day, you're going to find that the wear and tear on these, they don't last that long. I mean, they don't stay this nice for that long because it's colored in black. So once it starts to peel off, it's going to be this white color and it's not going to be very nice at all. So I mean, these are going to require a lot more care. These will definitely have to be kept in a metal card guard for the reason that they're quite expensive and you don't want them warping. Now, I'm also going to say that these cards here tend to be a little bit thicker than these cards here. These, when you feel them, they're going to be a little bit thinner. These are going to be a little bit higher quality. So you will find that they are quite durable, but even though I've said that, you still want to take a lot more care with these particular cards. Next, I want to give you guys another couple of tips that actually helped me save a lot of money as well. So this is handy when you actually have practice packs, okay? So let's say you're just starting out and you're practicing quite a lot and you're not performing as much just yet. What I want you to do is get 2 packs out, a red and a blue one, and literally get a black texter and write the word practice pack on them over the front of it, all right? And I only want you to use these cards to practice with. Because if you're just using them to practice, you don't care how mangled they get, you don't care how dirty they are or anything. You're just using them to purely practice the slides, build dexterity and build muscle memory, etc. And then what I want you to do is have specific cards that are your performance packs. So you only perform with these. So what I mean is you never perform with your practice pack and you never practice with your performing pack, all right? So what you'll find is that way the performing packs stay nice and crisp for longer because you're only using them for performances, and that you'll find, you don't care how bad your performance packs get. And if you find that they get really bad, mangled, dirty, just put them aside, don't throw them away, because you possibly can use them later on for making gaff cards, for, if you want to force someone a specific card for them to sign because you don't want to waste the card, you can actually just take the card that's crap, put it into the performing pack and force them that card and get them to sign that card so you don't waste cards in your pack. So there's a couple of things you can do with old cards, don't throw them away. So another thing, once your performing pack gets actually, really mangled and old, you can then change it from being a performing pack to a practice pack. So that's what I kind of do, and I found that with that kind of system in place, I'm able to have maximum efficiency with the cards and they last much, much longer. All right, now moving on to the last point. Sometimes you might find that the cards, like I said in the beginning, they absorb moisture and they absorb oil very easily, especially if our hands are dirty. So how do you fix that? So let's talk about it first. How do you know if it's dirty? You say, well, let's say, how do you know if it's still clean? The thing is, if you're able to take the cards and fan them and it's an even distribution and you can fan them quite nicely, what you'll find is that means there's no oil or moisture in the cards yet. How you tell when there's actually moisture and oil in the cards is when you fan the cards, and this is what happens. Let me try to create the artificial scenario like that. You have a massive gap there, and you find that no matter how well you try to do the fan, you always have like a gap in the cards, and it doesn't just happen one spot, it happens here and there, and you're like, oh, I can't get it to look nice. But that's actually a sign, not in that your skill isn't high enough, but because there's actually, oily patches or patches with a bit of moisture in the cards. So what do you do then? This is strange, but I accidentally found this method to fix it. All I did was I took the cards, I put them back in its case, and I placed the book on top of it and I put it away. I didn't put it away for a night or 2 nights, I actually put it away for a week or 2. And then when I came back to the cards, I found that the moisture obviously must have evaporated out of the cards, and also that the oily patches actually weren't so bad anymore. And I'm not sure exactly scientifically why that was the case, but it actually helped significantly. And I found that after I took it out, I fanned it, and it was like pretty much good as new. So trust me guys, try it, and for some strange reason it works. And if you find out what the scientific reason is behind that, post something in the forums and tell me why that is the case. Now I just want to run through some general housekeeping tips, okay, for your cards. At the end of the day, I already mentioned it, but I'll mention a couple of things just so you have it in one section here. You don't want to travel with these cards in its case in your pocket, all right? Because, you'll find that you will sweat and it's going to seep into the cards, and by putting it in your pocket, if you're wearing baggy pants, it's not so bad, but if you're wearing pants that are fitted, what you'll find is the cards will warp to the shape of your thigh or something, all right? And you don't want that. You've got to be very careful with these, because at the end of the day, these aren't that cheap. And you'll find that if you go through 10 a week, that's $30 a week maybe. So, if you're going to travel with them in your pocket and everything, ensure that you have a metal card guard, all right? And don't keep these in your car. I mean, even if you have a metal card guard, don't leave it in the car where it's gonna, be exposed to direct sunlight, because that's going to cause the cards to warp any kind of hot or humid place, and you'll find that these guys don't do so well. So you really want to take care of these by keeping them in a dry, cool place, all right? So that's just some housekeeping tips to really help you get the most value out of these little guys here. Okay, that's pretty much all the tips that I have for you guys. Look, I understand that a lot of you guys are quite young and you don't have exactly millions of dollars that fall out of your pocket while you're walking down the street. So I know you guys are going to want to really make every dollar last and every packet of cards last and go as far as possible. So, these aren't the only tips out there. You're going to find there's hundreds of tips. These are just some of the personal ones that I have to share with you. So guys, good luck, and I wish you all the best on this journey. So take care, and let's get on with the next lessons.